Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you may be tuning in to the Growing Our Future podcast. It's an opportunity to bring subject matter experts, people with great backgrounds, experiences, and just passions that come on and share so that others can plant those seeds of greatness in their lives. And today is no exception. Today we have Renae, and you said it is Yanez, is that correct?
Yes.
The beautiful last name, Yanez. And she is the HR director with Priefert. I know Priefert is a brand that is very familiar to probably everybody in the agriculture, farming, ranching, wildlife business. And Renae, thank you for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Renae, I got to tell you, every interview, every one of these, I start every one with the same question. What are you grateful for today?
Well, a lot of things, but first and foremost here, I am so glad to work for a company that stands for the same things that I stand for: faith, family, and freedom, in that order. And we are very blessed to have the kind of environment that we have here. And I guess that would be on the top of my list today.
Well, I tell you what, the smile on your face and when you described your company says a lot. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's just like sponsors, by the way. I'll just put yourself in my shoes. I always tell people it's great when you've got a sponsor that has a set of core values that are consistent with your core values. It makes the working relationship, it's not hard. It's like, okay, we know what we're trying to accomplish here. So
Right.
That's good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we do have a lot to be grateful for. I tell people all the time, if you just listen to the news or you scroll through social media, it doesn't take you long to get a little negative. But if you'll just stop and look around and think of all of the abundance that we have, the freedoms and liberties and everything, opportunities, we have a lot more to be grateful for than to complain about. So
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
thank you for sharing yours. That was good stuff. Let's jump right into today's topic. So I got to tell you, just a little while back, I was sitting with a group of ag science teachers, and we were talking about the challenges that they face in communicating with their students, the workforce, the expectations of the workforce, how to be successful in the workforce. And I started sharing ideas with them, and they said, yeah, but y'all are state staff. We need to hear this from people that are like out there in the real world, right? And I said, well, I know who I'm calling. So I called Eddie Priefert, and I said, Eddie, I need to know who your HR person is because I want to talk to them on the Growing Our Future podcast. Number one, because I've looked at the jobs that you post. I know what you have available. But more importantly, what kind of people do you need to fill those jobs? What skill sets could we share with them that would make them more successful when they do go to work? And so I wanted to talk to an HR person. So I've got you, Renae. You're going to be the subject matter expert today.
Excellent.
And we're going to talk this communication. We really want to focus it on, you're talking to students and you're talking to teachers. This is what kids need. This is what you need to be successful. So let's just start going down that path. If you could sum up a handful or two or three things that you would tell students they've really got to pay attention to, what would those be?
Well, the first thing, we have something here that's called the Priefert way. It's kind of, I would say it's similar to the creed. And it's something that we go over that kind of summarizes what you need to do to be successful at Priefert. And the first line is show up early, ready, and start fast. When do you need to show up? When you're supposed to. When do you need to be there? Early enough to do whatever it is you need to do before your start time. And when do you need to start? On time and with gusto. So it doesn't help to just be there. You need to be there and taking your job seriously, because definitely our customers take the needs they have out there in the field. They need that stuff to work. So we need you to take that seriously, take your job seriously, and that's something that It's just invaluable is to know that whenever you get there, your team, as a HR leader, to know that my team is out there in place, ready to roll.
So I want to just go over these one more time because that was really good stuff. So students, teachers, we need to convey that crystal clear. The number one thing that you got to do, number one, you got to show up. And you got to be there not just on time, you got to be there early so that when it's time to start, you're ready to start. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You know, I know that when I grew up on a dairy farm and the cows had to be milked at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. and it didn't matter if it was Christmas or my birthday or I didn't feel like it or whatever. I wanted to go on vacation. Didn't matter. The cows had to be milked. So we have that same ethic here. Panels, gates, horse stalls, wildlife feeders, a whole huge array of products have to be made because people are counting on us, you know. So absolutely, you have to be ready on time and taking your duty seriously, that you are going to give your best from the beginning to the end of your shift.
We could talk a whole hour on just what you've shared already. I want to really piggyback on people that know me know I'm always promoting live your brand, live your brand, live your brand. And you just echoed that.
Absolutely.
Your individual brand, students, your individual brand is, I'm that person that's going to show up. I'm going to show up early. I'm going to be dependable because my brand is going to help promote your brand. And your brand is what the customer values. And when I can help you be successful, you're going to make me successful. And so by complementing and valuing our brands, we have a more successful relationship. And I would probably argue, Renae, would that not also make that relationship a longer term relationship and one with potential promotion?
Oh, 100%. We definitely are a merit-based company. We see people doing a good job and know that that is the person that we can count on to represent us in a positive way, the way we want it to be, the way we want to be represented, and carry that and pass that on to others. So that's how you become a lead. That's how you become a supervisor. That's how you become a manager, a director, all the way up. For example, our vice president of sales, who is of steel sales, who is also previously, he was vice president of manufacturing. He started in the machine shop as a machinist, just needed a job like everybody else. And so through his will to do it right every time, I like to say we make it right or we make it right, period. There is no other option. So he was able to work his way up right through the ranks, and now he's a vice president. And we have many success stories like that here at Priefert. And you know, and if you do not land in the agriculture industry, the same thing applies. When my last gig was at Titus Regional Medical Center, and my best success story was a nurse practitioner that had, I don't know, a whole alphabet out behind his name, but he started out in our cafeteria washing dishes, and he worked his way through x-ray tech and lab tech and registered nurse, all the way up to nurse practitioner in a specialty practice that people come from other places to see because he is excellent. And you don't have to start at the top. You have to start where you are and do your best. And that is how, whenever you are engaged and doing the things that are needed, it is recognized by the people who matter. And as far as living your brand, whether you like it or not, you are a walking advertisement for yourself. Everywhere you go, whether you think it should matter what you do in your spare time or not, there's people watching. And if you're representing yourself in a negative light, people see that. If you're representing yourself in a positive light, people see that.
A lot of little tips. Let me ask you this: whenever in the world of HR, whenever y'all are considering candidates and you're kind of doing your evaluation and your homework and you're you're looking at references, you're looking at what they do. Do you ever look at their social media? Is looking it through their social media an indicator of how they may perform in a job, maybe?
Absolutely. So there's before I definitely want to talk about social media. You know what the number one indicator that science and artificial intelligence or AI tells us will be the best indicator of employee performance? It is your email address. So if your email address is crazy party guy at whatever, or something horrible, because man, have I seen some horrible ones. I cannot even state some of the ones I've seen, but most recruiting software does not let that through to a real recruiter. So that's one thing to think about. Go get you a boring email address that is your name and maybe some numbers, and that's it. Go get one of those and apply like a serious candidate. Now, also, your social media 100% makes a difference, because that is your brand. That says who you are and what you think. I personally don't care if you agree with me in any way on any subject. I care if you act in a way that would be unbecoming to the company. Are you starting fights online? Are you saying things that would embarrass our company in a meaningful way? Then we aren't going to consider you in the same way that we would consider somebody who presents themselves all the time on the up and up. So you can think whatever you think, and you are free to say whatever you want to say and post whatever you want to post, but it's not invisible. And right now, as a young person, you have a very small amount that says I should hire you. You don't have 20 years of experience. You don't have a master's degree. You don't have a lot to stand on. So whatever you do have to stand on matters.
That's a great point. That is a great point. I'm gonna use that, by the way. That was good stuff.
Feel free. Absolutely.
That's another thing, and I don't want to get us off track here, but I can chase rabbit holes all the time. Here's an example. Professional networks. I'm always telling the kids, you've got to have a strong professional network. And it really just spoke to what you just said. In other words, if you're a young person coming out of high school or college, Renae or Aaron may not know you, but maybe Renae knows me and my name's associated with that kid, or maybe I know Eddie Priefert and my name's associated with Eddie. So all of a sudden now there's a connection there because I don't have those years of experience. Exactly. I don't have all of that. So that professional network is really important. One thing that I share, Renae, with the students is make their profile pictures consistent across all their platforms. I said, make it easy so that when people start looking for you, they see an image and it becomes very consistent. So it's not like, well, I'm not really sure. Why does this one look different than this one? So I'm always saying, be consistent. Consistency creates credibility. So
100%, you cannot tell one story to somebody and another story to somebody else. So when you're coming in for a job interview and you want the better position, you'd rather not have the lowest paying. Maybe you would like a 1 or 2 steps above that. You have to show a reason why. And part of that reason is that you are consistent. And there is nothing more important than consistency. So every step that you have to show that, if everybody knows you in the same way that they can count on you, whether it's to pick up chairs at the end of a function, or whether it is to help somebody that you see that needs help instead of walking by them, those things will matter. People will remember them.
I agree. That is really, really good advice. Again, we're talking about that brand that, and I think about the Prieferts. The Priefert, what an incredible brand. But it really speaks to what you're saying, Renae, because I know a lot of people that work for that company and their individual brands are just as strong as that corporate brand. And I think that collectively that gives a lot of credibility to the company.
Thank you. That is our goal, 100%.
So let's just, out of curiosity, what are some negatives? What are some pitfalls you've seen people fall into when either applying for a job or once they get on a job that cost them that job? What are some pitfalls that you see?
Well, one thing is inconsistency, is that people can often behave well for a job interview and even maybe into the first few days. Their true colors in a negative way start to come out. Bad habits are so hard to overcome. So if your habit is not already being there and being on time, it's hard to keep that going. Once your enthusiasm and excitement over getting the job wanes, it is very difficult to be somebody else. So your habits need to start now if you haven't already started them. There is no time to plant a tree like 20 years ago, except for right now. So you need to plant your tree of good habits today. And so when people become inconsistent because that's their habit, and they were trying so hard for a week or 2 weeks, really about a 90-day area is where it's kind of a big hump for people. Like, they thought they were going to move from forklift driver to vice president in 90 days, but actually that takes a career. So if they don't see immediate results in literally a few days, some people just give up on all those wishes that they could develop that good habit. So that is one thing that really gets somebody. The nicest word to say is truthful. Okay, if they are saying, oh yeah, I was here, can you, something was wrong with my badge, can you clock me in? Sure. But it doesn't take long to figure out that there's holes in all those stories. You know, my parents taught me that my curfew was at a certain time, and I was expected to leave from wherever I was in time to have a flat tire, or there be a train on the tracks or whatever, so that I was inside the house with the door shut by my curfew. And the same thing goes for what time you start work, and that you're giving your best to your whole shift. What time you come back for lunch is just as important as what time you got to work. That you stayed till the end and you worked till the end. I mean, I can remember waiting on the bell to ring, gathering up my books, just waiting and time to let me out of here. But the truth is, we need the production time to meet the needs of our customers, all 8 hours of your shift or 10 hours of your shift, as it whatever it may be that day. We need it all. That's what we're paying you for, is those hours of your time, and we need all of it.
Man, Renae, you're really good, by the way. This is good stuff.
Thank
so
you.
let's take another little path here. So we've given them some tips, we've given them some pitfalls. So another question that I think comes up a lot of times is, you know, do I go to college? Do I not go to college? Do I have to go to college? Should I pursue a certification in high school? I'm willing to bet, I hope this is a fair comment, I'm willing to bet that you need all those people. I'm willing to bet at Priefert, you need people with the college degrees with a lot of credentials, all the way down to the person that just came out of school that's looking for an opportunity. And then I would say this to both of those spectrums, by the way, Renae, whether we're talking about the college grad or the person just looking for the job, I bet it's important that you're coachable. I bet you got to be coachable.
100%.
So tell us about that.
Yes. So we need graphic designers. We need mechanical, electrical, and civil engineers. We need laborers, concrete finishers. We need people with certifications that I don't even know what all the letters stand for. Okay, there are so many certifications. If something interests you and you want to be good at it, and there's a class to take it. That shows that you care and you want to be good, that you know that there is more to learn out there. I can tell you, I'm the human resource director for a $340 million company, and there is stuff I can learn right now, today. Absolutely, I learn stuff about HR daily. It is so important to keep on going. So whether you fall as a person who can learn a skill that we can teach you in a day, or a person that needs 8 years of college to learn these skills before they can even start, You have to be coachable. If I come in here and I need to do something and I look at my email and I'm like, I'm not doing that. That is not my circus, not my monkeys. I am not doing it. I'm not going to have this job tomorrow. So I love this job and I want to keep it. So I have to be coachable. I cannot have my ego in the way. I had to fire somebody that hurt my feelings. That's part of my job and I don't enjoy it, but I know it's part of life. But I had to fire somebody when I first got here because he refused to load the trucks the way we wanted him to load the trucks. Because he said, ma'am, it's too slow to load them that way. Well, we need to keep you alive, sir. And what you're doing, whether you understand it or not, it causes accidents. So we need you to load it in this way. And he said, well, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm very sorry, but you can't work here if you're not going to do that. And he said, well, I guess you're going to have to fire me and see who you can get. I guess we are, sir. We're in agreement. So, I mean, I hated that. I mean, that is probably the hardest firing I have done in my whole career because it was so absurd. He was a good worker, but his ego got in the way of his job. I mean, he would have made a good supervisor if it wasn't for his ego, but he got stuck right there on the forklift, had to go run a forklift somewhere else where either they didn't care about working safe or he had to change his mind.
Wow. That's a great story. It's tragic because you think if you'd just been able to listen and just be a little bit coachable,
yes,
what a successful opportunity might have presented itself.
It really would. And people sometimes feel like they have to know all the whys or they just aren't going to do it. But sometimes all the whys took years to figure out, and we don't have years to explain them to them. And we pay you to wear your uniform, or we pay you to drive the forklift. We pay you to wear the seatbelt on the forklift. We pay you to walk on this side instead of that side. Whatever it is that we're asking you to do, it's not beneath you. I can tell you that I pick up a broom when there's a mess. Nothing says that I'm too good for that. And certainly, whatever the problem is, we're all there to solve it. Part of the Priefert way says we think big and we solve problems. And whatever the problem is, that's what we're going to solve. And it doesn't matter if it's not in my wheelhouse or I don't think that I should do it this way. We definitely it's all my circus and all my monkeys because we are one family, one team. We are Priefert.
Well, I've been there. I've experienced it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's one reason I admire the brand. I admire the people. And I don't think our paths have crossed like they have today. And I can tell you that you are echoing everything that I've ever thought about the Priefert brand. So that's good stuff. Thank you very much. So let's talk just briefly. And I know we've kind of covered this a little bit. If you could give students 3 tips that right now they could say, okay, I'm going to put these 3 tips in to get out and get a career and be successful. What would they be? You said number 1, show up.
Show up early, ready, and start fast.
Okay. And
I would say that consistency cannot be forgotten. You have to be consistent in everything that you do, every way you present yourself and everything you do. So
I'm gonna make sure I'm putting all these pieces together here because I heard you. So if I show up early and I'm ready to go and I start doing my job on time when it's time to do it, and I do that consistently, you're telling me that my odds are better that I might get recognized, I might get promoted, and I might be given other opportunities to make more money and to be more successful?
That is the way it works.
Okay.
At Priefert and just about anywhere, that is the way it works.
One of the things that one of our board members for the Texas FFA Foundation is Tom Ziegler. Tom is the son of the late Zig Ziglar, the great motivational speaker. And Tom was up on the East Coast talking to some college kids, and he asked them, what is the opposite of gratitude? And he let it kind of sink in. And then he looked at him and he said, the opposite of gratitude is entitlement.
Yes, agreed.
And it sounds like the people that y'all employ, the people that you're looking for, are people that are grateful for an opportunity. There are people that are willing to say, listen, I'm going to share my brand with you and I'm going to show up. I'm going to be prepared to do this job. I'm going to do this job well because I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for the company and the resources that you share with me, and that I can share with my family. And if I have a little left over, I might be able to share them with somebody in need. So there's a great circle of success here when we practice those three things that you shared.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, well, that's good stuff. Do you think there's opportunities? So let me just ask you this. There's students and teachers right now from all over the country that'll be watching this. Renae, are there any jobs out there? Are there any opportunities? I mean, am I going to have a chance? I'm going to graduate. I tell the kids all the time, think of it this way. As a matter of fact, I spoke to 150 high school seniors yesterday. There are over 3,000 high schools in the state of Texas. They've all got senior classes. They're all going to graduate this year. They're all going to be looking for a job, an opportunity, or a scholarship. What separates you from them? Ultimately, it's your competitive edge and it's your brand. But I guess the bigger question is, Renae, are there even opportunities out there? Can you see opportunities for the next 5-10 years?
Absolutely. This job market right now is so ripe with opportunities. If you are the person who will do what you see is needed, take the initiative, your opportunities are just endless right now. I mean, absolutely endless. Jobs that once people expected years of experience for, people are much more willing to take somebody who does not have that experience, as long as they're trainable, coachable, willing, and showing that initiative. Your future is so bright right now. It is so bright.
That was good stuff right there. So one of the things that we do on these podcasts, Renae, is we always end with a fun question.
Uh-oh.
So you're going to get a fun question.
Well, I am the CFO, the Chief Fun Officer at Priefert.
So let me ask you, Miss CFO, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
The best concert I have ever been to, man, probably Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder.
Ricky Skaggs, man, that's old school. I like
it. Is. It is, and he can play, man.
I'm going to tell you, he is a picker. He
is.
Yeah, he is. I was back in the 80s. I was a diehard Ricky Skaggs fan, and he could pick that guitar and sing, and his faith too.
And one of the best things at that concert was he is by far the Mozart of bluegrass, but he made everybody on the stage and everybody that stepped up there shine brighter. 100%. I was just like in awe of what I was seeing, because he made everybody better and happy, and just, he could have showed them, he could have put them under the table, but he didn't. He was good. It was just an amazing experience when I got to see him.
That just makes you feel good to hear stories like that.
Yes, everybody that you see famous isn't that nice, but man, he definitely was.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Renae, thank you for taking some time today. I know that our students and teachers are really going to appreciate all that you shared. We covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time, but hopefully we've done so where somebody can pick it up and run with it. I always tell people, if you want to know what the future is, grow it.
Absolutely.
And that means you got to plant the right seeds, you got to nurture them, and then you got to help them be strong. And bringing guests on like you, Renae, and to have that kind of insight, those really are seeds of greatness. And we just need a few kids and a few teachers to plant those and to grow them. And if they'll do that, they're going to find real opportunity in the job market. by living their brand, by being consistent, by being the kind of employee that employers want. And they'll make the investment in you. They want to see you succeed as well.
The success of the team member is the success of the business.
Renae, thank you for joining us on today's podcast. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Growing Our Future podcast. Can't wait to see you down the road. We're going to have more guests and you're going to get more insights. And, you know, all of the guests are just another reason why I love my job. I get to work with some incredible young people, extraordinary educators, sponsors and stakeholders that only want the best for our students. And today was no exception. Renae, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we will see y'all down the road. Thank y'all.